Staying united in parental decision making is a skill that takes a lot of practice and hard work. Before we can even show our children that we're on the same page, we must actually be on the same page. This means having daily discussions about what we as a family believe and how we expect our children to behave. These can be high level decisions like where are we going to church, how do we dress, or how do we handle electronics. The topics change as your children get older, but the premise is the same. It's hard for your kids to pit you against each other if you have already had those discussions.
Before Aaron and I can decide on a decision together, there's several backstage events and conversations that have to take place together. First, is our choice biblical? There's a lot of confusion today about what is actually biblical and what is not. And are we basing our decision on what Scripture tells us and making sure it's not going against biblical truth?
Second, what are the pros and cons of the choice that we're making? Listing the pros and cons can be used for the simplest decisions or for some of the harder ones that we have to make as parents. Discussion here creates an open environment for communication and for both of us to express our opinions and be heard.
And third, is this the best choice? There can be multiple options in decision making that are good and biblical choices, but they may not be the best choice for our family. This could be that it doesn't fit our schedule, or it could be that it works for one child but not another. Sometimes the best decision might be the harder decision to make, and sometimes that choice might change from year to year or kid to kid. When asking ourselves, what is the best choice? We are really asking, why is this choice beneficial for our family? We want all of our decisions to bear godly fruit, so we evaluate each choice for activities, sports, programs within and outside of the church, and etc., and ask, is this bearing biblical, godly fruit, or is this bearing worldly fruit in my child or in myself? And if the answer is the latter, then we decide to prune that choice.
Research shows that a very high percentage of children raised in Christian homes are walking away from the faith by age 18. This means that normal Christian rhythms are not working in most cases. I think that needs to cause a wake up call to most parents and ask, are we making decisions that look identical to everyone around us just because it's the cultural norm? And sometimes those decisions may look the same, and that's okay, as long as you and your spouse have discussed and prayed about it and are not just going with the normal cultural flow of decision making. A choice might be normal, but when did we start believing that mediocrity needs to be normal for us and for our children?
When making united parenting decisions, we have to allow room for grace for each other and for ourselves. There will be many times when the decisions that we make are mistakes, and we have to remember that God's plan is bigger than our mistakes. There will also be times when the decision we made was the right choice for that time, but then we might need to pivot in a different direction due to changes in a child's age or a changing situation that we find ourselves in. Pivoting does not mean that we made a mistake, just simply that we are pivoting our path to create a better outcomes.
Once decisions have been made, the second part is staying unified in those decisions. In our home, you'll frequently hear, Mommy and Daddy are on the same team. This means that my answer will always be the same as Lindsay's when communicating to our kids about something that they're asking for or about. Not only is it important for our kids to see us unified, but it's important for our spouse to feel supported in the decision that they made. Now, that's not to say that we never disagree with a choice that one of us makes. Believe me, happens a lot. So, if there is something we disagree on, then we'll discuss it respectfully in front of the kids or in private, and then we'll let the kids know if our answer has changed or remained the same.
Parenting is hard. We have found that making a commitment to being on the same team not only strengthens our parenting, but also strengthens our relationship. You begin to develop a new level of trust in your relationship when you know that you and your spouse are on the same page with decisions and that you will have each other's backs. Presenting a unified front gives our children a sense of security. While they may not always like the answers that they get, when they know that their parents are on the same page, they feel a sense of comfort and security that they need to grow.
One of the conversations that we recently had with our 9-year-old was about her doing both flag football and volleyball. Was it biblical? Check. Pros and cons? There were a lot more pros and cons. Is this the best choice? No. At this season in our lives, adding another activity to an already busy schedule was going to create many more issues that were not going to allow our family to grow.
We love sports, and both of us wanted her to do it. But when we weighed the options, we knew that it was in our family's best interest not to do it. This is a simple example. The situations and discussions get much harder and harder. But as Aaron mentioned at the beginning, this is a skill that takes practice. These simple opportunities are practice for when the hard opportunities begin to come your way.